Now the next one is magnetic wind. Okay, magnetic wind type oxygen analyzer. In this case, we are using the property of the temperature difference or the temperature effect on the magnetic susceptibility. I just said in the previous slide that the magnetic susceptibility of oxygen reduces with increase in temperature. So as the temperature will go on increasing, oxygen will become less and less susceptible to magnetic field. It will get less attracted towards the magnetic field. This property is used here in the case of a magnetic wind type. Now in this construction, what happens is, as you can see in the diagram, there is a permanent magnet. This is the gas inlet, the heating filament. Okay, now what happens is, initially there is a sample gas which is less susceptible to oxygen, which is less susceptible to your magnetic field. Then later on, a fixed amount of oxygen is passed through this particular cell. Okay, now when this fixed amount of oxygen is passed, depending on its magnetic susceptibility, it will either get attracted, and when it comes to the heated part, its magnetic susceptibility reduces. So it does not get attracted towards the magnetic field. Now, when there will be more amount of oxygen entering as the sample gas, that means if the sample gas is containing oxygen, then automatically the cooler oxygen that is coming from outside just now will replace the oxygen that is being heated in this particular region. The moment this difference is there, there will be some amount of flow of oxygen, the cool oxygen replacing the hot oxygen which is there in the heated part due to the heating filament. And this flow is called nothing but magnetic wind. And this change in the magnetic field is detected by two elements which are part of a Wheatstone bridge. And then the Wheatstone bridge output is considered. So this is the magnetic wind type oxygen analyzer. This is the same diagram. This also is the same diagram for magnetic wind type. Maybe from this diagram it will be more clear, because this yellow part that you can see is the oxygen part. Okay, so now whenever the sample gas is entering, it will take two paths, one this way and the other this way. Now what is happening in this? When it is moving around, that time, because of the heated element, there will be more amount of cooling gas coming towards the heated element, and that will cause the magnetic wind. And the change in that magnetic wind is nothing but the detection of the particular amount of oxygen in the sample. This is the magneto-pneumatic type. Magneto-pneumatic type oxygen analyzer operates on the principle that test sample containing oxygen molecules, when drawn into a non-homogeneous magnetic field and mixed with a reference gas having a different oxygen content, will generate a differential pressure. The sample gas is introduced into the test chamber. I am not being able to locate a diagram for this, so I have not included this. You can neglect that one. Application: the paramagnetic type of oxygen analyzers, they can be used. They can be used in the analysis of combustion efficiency, testing the purity of breathing air and protective atmospheres for laboratory measurements, and in medical applications for selected industrial process monitoring and control applications. Another type of oxygen analyzer is the galvanic cell type or fuel cell type. Now in this galvanic cell type, what happens is there is a silver cathode, a lead anode, and this particular membrane is a Teflon membrane. So this membrane that you can see is a Teflon membrane. The cathode is a silver cathode made of silver, and there is a lead anode. Now what happens is whenever the sample is entering, and if it has oxygen, here it will form hydroxyl ions. Okay. Now after that it will undergo reduction at the cathode. Again at the anode it will undergo oxidation. Now this oxidation and reduction process forms or helps in having a flow of current, and this flow of current eventually will give us amount of oxygen in the sample in parts per million or in percentage. So this is galvanic or fuel cell type oxygen analyzer. Advantages and disadvantages: rugged and insensitive to shock and vibration, can be mounted in virtually any position without changing its sensitivity, relatively small, self-contained and disposable, fairly inexpensive, portable, measures percentage or trace levels of oxygen directly. That means it can measure very small amount of oxygen also. When properly calibrated, it can provide reliable and accurate measurements. Disadvantages: their life expectancy is a function of usage. More the usage, more faster will be the or shorter will be the lifespan of that particular cell. As these sensors age, they have a tendency to read low due to a loss in sensitivity. Must be recalibrated on frequent basis. When used for trace oxygen measurements, there is susceptibility to oxygen shock. That means if it is measuring continuously small amounts of oxygen, suddenly if you give it a large amount of oxygen, it will not be able to sense it correctly. Not used for critical applications. So it's the same explanation here. Those were oxygen analyzers. We will now be seeing carbon dioxide analyzers. Now, carbon dioxide analyzers, or basically when we are saying infrared based gas analyzers, because there are many gases which respond to infrared radiation in a very good manner. You can just observe this spectrum here. This is the absorption spectrum of various atmospheric gases with respect to infrared radiations. So here you can observe that oxygen, water, carbon dioxide, and you have carbon monoxide also. All these molecules give a very good absorption spectrum for infrared radiations. And so only we use it, or we use infrared for measurement of many gases, but it is majorly used for carbon dioxide measurements. So let us see how it can be measured. So what happens here in this case is, this is a carbon dioxide analyzer. If I am using it for carbon dioxide measurement, this particular detector here will be filled with carbon dioxide. If I am having some other gas to be measured, I will fill it with that particular analyzer. Sorry, that particular gas. Now let's see how it works. You have two identical infrared sources, here and here. There is a chopper here. This one is the chopper. You recollect what is a chopper? This is a chopper. One side is darkened and the other side is empty. if you recollect this, okay, this particular part is opaque and this particular part is opaque. Okay, and light can once pass and once be blocked. So what happens is the infrared, there's a test gas, that means this is a sample gas that is entering, and in this there is a reference gas, which is CO2 again. Now what happens that when light passes from the infrared source, initially when there is no sample, that time this particular condenser or this particular capacitor is balanced. Balanced in the sense that there is no fluctuation in the plate. We are considering that this is one plate, metal plate, this metal diaphragm, this which you can see here is the plate of the variable capacitor. Now, when there is no sample present, automatically there is going to be no particular pressure or movement in this diaphragm. When carbon dioxide enters, that time what happens, whatever radiations were reaching the detector will now be reduced because the radiations will be absorbed here by carbon dioxide. So the radiations reaching here will be reduced. So the radiations that were reaching here will be reduced. Due to this reduction, there will be a reduction in pressure on this particular side, on the detector side. And because of that, the diaphragm will bend towards the low pressure because the pressure here is now high. So what is done? Since the pressure here so there is a movement now in the diaphragm. Now, as I said that the diaphragm is actually a plate of the capacitor, variable capacitor. We have already studied displacement measurement using capacitance in your transducer 1. Now, in that case, if this one plate, this particular plate is the is one of the variable plates, automatically the movement in the plate is going to cause change in capacitance. This change in capacitance is converted into the measurement of carbon dioxide. So if there is more amount of carbon dioxide in the sample, there will be very less amount of radiations reaching the detector cell. Hence, there will be very low pressure here and therefore movement in the diaphragm. Now, here we have a chopper which is continuously rotating. So what happens is once the radiations pass, the other time the radiations are blocked. When the radiations pass, that time the low pressure is created, there is a movement in the diaphragm. There is a change in capacitance. When the chopper blocks the radiations, that time the diaphragm comes back to its original position and there is no change in the capacitance. But this gives you a continuous waveform due to the chopper movement or as a function of the chopper movement. And from that, using a tuning amplifier, we can find out what is the exact amount of carbon dioxide in the sample that is entering the sample cell. This is carbon dioxide analyzers using infrared radiations. Applications of infrared carbon dioxide sensor. The infrared analyzers may be used for measurement of carbon dioxide at any level between 0 to 100% in gases or gas mixtures, ensuring product quality either by measuring for carbon dioxide impurity or for monitoring of the carbon dioxide purity in both the cases. That means it can measure trace, it can measure percentage. Testing of modified atmosphere in food packaging to ensure quality of gases used as production material in the chemical industry. So these are the applications of infrared carbon dioxide sensors. Let us wait for the next session.